it chapter by chapter, one bite at a time. So many adventures and mountains we can climb. Take it word for word, line by line, one bite at a time.
Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. If you want to know what's coming next and vote on upcoming books, sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. You can find most of our links in the show notes, but also our website, biteatatimebooks.com, includes all of the links for our show, including to our Patreon to support the show, and YouTube, where we have special behind the narration of the episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic authors to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please note, while we try to keep the text as close to the original as possible, some words have been changed to honor the marginalized communities who've identified the words as harmful, and to stay in alignment with Bite at a Time Books' brand values. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 6. Father Fauchelevent. One morning, Monsieur Madeleine was passing through an unpaved alley of M. He heard a noise and saw a group some distance away. He approached. An old man named Father Fauchelevent had just fallen beneath his cart, his horse having tumbled down. This Fauchelevent was one of the few enemies whom Monsieur Madeleine had at that time. When Madeleine arrived in the neighborhood, Fauchelevent, an ex-notary and a peasant who was almost educated, had a business which was beginning to be in a bad way. Fauchelevent had seen this simple workman grow rich, while he, a lawyer, was being ruined. This had filled him with jealousy, and he had done all he could on every occasion to injure Madeleine. Then bankruptcy had come, and as the old man had nothing left but a cart and a horse, and neither family nor children, he had turned carter. The horse had 2 broken legs and could not rise. The old man was caught in the wheels. The fall had been so unlucky that the whole weight of the vehicle rested on his breast. The cart was quite heavily laden. Father Fauchelevent was rattling in the throat in the most lamentable manner. They had tried, but in vain, to drag him out. In an unmethodical effort, aid awkwardly given, a wrong shake might kill him. It was impossible to disengage him otherwise than by lifting the vehicle off of him. Javert, who had come up at the moment of the accident, had sent for a jackscrew. Monsieur Madeleine arrived. People stood aside respectfully. "Help!" cried old Fauchelevent. "Who will be good and save the old man?" Monsieur Madeleine turned towards those present. "Is there jackscrew to be had?" "One has been sent for," answered the peasant. "How long will it take to get it?" "They have gone for the nearest, to Flachot's place, where there's a farrier, but it makes no difference. It will take a good quarter of an hour." "A quarter of an hour!" exclaimed Madeleine. It had rained on the preceding night. The soil was soaked. The cart was sinking deeper into the earth every moment and crushing the old carter's breast more and more. It was evident that his ribs would be broken in 5 minutes more. "It is impossible to wait another quarter of an hour," said Madeleine to the peasants who were staring at him. "We must." "But it will be too late then. Don't you see that the cart is sinking?" "Well, listen," resumed Madeleine. "There is still room enough under the cart to allow a man to crawl beneath it and raise it with his back. Only half a minute and the poor man can be taken out. Is there anyone here who has stout loins and heart? There are 5 louis d'or to be earned. Not a man in the group stirred. 10 louis, said Madeline. The persons present dropped their eyes. One of them muttered, "A man would need to be devilish strong, and then he runs the risk of getting crushed." "Come," began Madeline again. 20 louis. The same silence. "It is not the will which is lacking," said a voice. Monsieur Madeline turned round and recognized Javert. He had not noticed him on his arrival. Javert went on, "It is strength. One would have to be a terrible man to do such a thing as lift a cart like that on his back." Then, gazing fixedly at Monsieur Madeline, he went on, emphasizing every word that he uttered. "Monsieur Madeline, I've never known but one man capable of doing what you ask." Madeline shuddered. Javert added, with an air of indifference, but without removing his eyes from Madeline, "He was a convict." "Ah," said Madeline, "in the galleys at Toulon." Madeline turned pale. Meanwhile, the cart continued to sink slowly. Father Fauchelevert rattled in the throat and shrieked, "I'm strangling! My ribs are breaking! A screw! Something! Ah!" Madeline glanced about him. "Is there, then, no one who wishes to earn 20 louis and save the life of this poor old man?" No one stirred. Javert resumed, "I've never known but one man who could take the place of a screw, and he was that convict." "Ah, it is crushing me!" cried the old man. Madeline raised his head, met Javert's falcon eyes still fixed upon him, looked at the motionless peasants, and smiled sadly. And without saying a word, he fell on his knees, and before the crowd had even had time to utter a cry, he was underneath the vehicle. A terrible moment of expectation and silence ensued. They beheld Madeline almost flat on his stomach beneath that terrible weight, make 2 vain efforts to bring his knees and his elbows together. They shouted to him, "Father Madeline, come out!" Old Fauchelevert himself said to him, "Monsieur Madeline, go away. You see that I'm fated to die. Leave me, you will get yourself crushed also." Madeline made no reply. All the spectators were panting. The wheels had continued to sink, and it had become almost impossible for Madeline to make his way from under the vehicle. Suddenly, the enormous mass was seen to quiver. The cart rose slowly. The wheels half emerged from the ruts. They heard a stifled voice crying, "Make haste, help!" It was Madeline, who had just made a final effort. They rushed forwards. The devotion of a single man had given force and courage to all. The cart was raised by 20 arms. Old Fauchelevert was saved. Madeline rose. He was pale, though dripping with perspiration. His clothes were torn and covered with mud. All wept. The old man kissed his knees and called him the good God. As for him, he bore upon his countenance an indescribable expression of happy and celestial suffering, and he fixed his tranquil eye on Javert, who was still staring at him. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com and check out the shop. You can check out the show notes or our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media as well.